No, that ain't my baby.
That is cute.
As far as I do to
My name is Tyquin Coleman, and it's my persuasive speech. Ever been in a public place and ever just had an abundance of smoke around you, been around heavy vapors, big clouds, and ever wondered, is this illegal? How can they do this? Like in restaurants or malls or casinos? Well, today we're going to cover how to basically try to ban vaping. Try to get vaping out of malls and restaurants where it's a public place, and usually for families. Vaping is usually, it was considered for people who are trying to quit smoking as an alternative to try to get away from cigarettes. But slowly it's became a nuisance to people out in public. So today my purpose is to persuade you to try to ban vaping and keep it out of restaurants, keep it out of the malls, keep it out of away from schools and family environments. Governor Jerry Brown, he's in California. He's currently pushing to try to end vaping in California, and he's got a bill that's in progress. California's a little bit more serious, hasn't really hit here in Nevada yet, but slowly getting there. But he's one of the top candidates that is in favor of banning vaping. So first off, I'll start briefly talk about what vaping is, what they are, what they contain, and how can it be detrimental to your health. So first, according to JS Online, vaping is basically inhaling and exhaling vapors from e-cigs. E-cigs, they use batteries to heat up liquid that give off a vapor. Generally, people buy them to quit smoking cigarettes or whatever other smoking addictions they may have. They'll usually get that as an alternative to try to wean away from cigarettes. It was seen that e-cigarettes are less detrimental to your health. They're supposed to be better than tobacco products and easier on your lungs and your respiratory system, which isn't entirely true. Turns out e-cigs are not regulated by the FDA. So, secondly, what I'll talk about is what they contain. The acetone. Acetone is extremely toxic, and that's one of the top ingredients that are in E6. They can, over time, produce popcorn lung disease, which is very bad in your lungs. It can kill you. They also contain acetone and pachytenadone, which is also extremely toxic, which most people don't know that that's what's are in E6. It varies in amounts based on how often you use it, when you use it, or the flavors, the strengths. There's all type of modifications you can do to the E6. So depending on the baseline is that all of those contain those ingredients and even more. It was also said on NBC News that it has high levels of formaldehyde, which is used as a preservative. And it's also a carcinogen, which can help go towards lung cancer. And all these chemicals combined can destroy the lungs, destroy your respiratory system, destroy your overall breathing environment. And it's slowly became popular within teens. It was socially acceptable early on, like a lot of high school, middle school teenagers were seen out vaping out in public, or even the hookah lounges, which became really popular for majority of college kids. So now that it's gotten so much publicity, it so slowly became socially unacceptable. So finally, I'd like to go into the dangers and why it should be banned. It can permanently cause a fatal lung condition called bronchiolitis obliterans, which is inflammation of the bronchioles, and it's slowly associated with popcorn lung disease, but it can be more fatal and actually kill you. There was a a news article where I read that a 6-year-old suffered from respiratory disease, and it was diagnosed as hypersensitivity pneumonitis, which I found out on JS Online. And the 6-year-old said it was his first time trying to vape, and he just gave it his first try. He had a chemical. It was what was it called? It had an unknown chemical in it. I don't remember if it was stated, but the type that was in it was red cinnamon, which ended up burning his lungs, and he had to be put on a ventilator. So, in New York Times, they also stated that you're 15 times more likely to get lung cancer by using e-cig as opposed to using a cigarette. Mainly just because the chemicals that are in e-cigs are unknown. And it was also stated on the same website that bystanders absorb more nicotine from it due to the heavier effects that it gives off. It gives off larger clouds, larger amounts of unfiltered nicotine, along with all the other chemicals that are associated with it. And Wolfgang Schober of Bavarian, it's a university over in the UK. They stated that it worsens the overall air quality. So when you're smoking in public or vaping in public, it's going to get into the filter, it's going to get into the system, and everyone's going to basically catch secondhand smoke from it. So, in conclusion, I've discussed how detrimental it is to your health, who's it popular amongst, why it should be avoided, and what it can do to you. So with the assistance of Governor Brown, he can help us ban vaping and hopefully have a cleaner environment. Any questions? Yeah.
I thought the vape was supposed to be good for like less tobacco.
It was supposed to. That's what it was said to be. But it turns out there's more chemicals in vaping than it is tobacco.
So what about the hookahs? Is it like the same?
Hookah's stronger because they're using, instead of vapes, they use like the little batteries that heat up the fluid. But in hookahs, you're using like charcoal. So you're getting in the charcoal substance instead of
smoking.
Yeah, so it's worse.
So what's better, cigarettes?
Technically, yeah, but it's still a carcinogen, which it's cancer causing. So if it's not like pure oxygen, it's not meant for you. But
so
compared to e-cigs, yeah.
To stop my habit from smoking, what would you prefer?
I prefer none.
So what about the nicotine patch? What about the nicotine patch?
It's an alternative, but there's still nicotine patch. I think contains formaldehyde too. That's why it lives so long and can stay attached to your body. And instead, you can't control the dosage you get in those because you got it on your skin, and it's gonna slowly absorb every day like clockwork. You can't really control when you want to stop.
So marijuana be better?
Technically, yeah. There's usually no chemicals in it.
Crazy, exactly.
Yeah.
What about
pure.
the nicotine gum?
That's a little more harsh on your teeth. It'll affect your respiratory, not as heavy as smoking it because you're not exactly inhaling it. But the gum, it's better. It's an alternative, but I wouldn't prefer it. Anything else? Well, thank you. Let's keep it going. That's it.
I had no idea that
Control
they had
her
formaldehyde.
bad ass son.
I can't control over all the questions.
You know,
Keandre, I can't control over all the questions.
specify no vaping.
He can come down now.
I just asked what was better.
It's not common
That's
to
what
people, you know.